Welcome to the course Food Safety for Food Service Employees, brought to you by the Environmental Health Division of the 1st District Health Unit. As you are watching the different chapters of the DVD today, it is important that you take notes. Bring these notes with you to the office where you are going to take the test. You need to look at the following chart of test code offices to determine what the proper test code is to bring with you when you go to take your test. If you are going to take your test in the city of Fdhu, you will use test code BT01. If you are going to the city of Mohall, it will be RE02. Bowbells, it will be BU03. Towner, MH04. Kenmare, WA05. Minot, WA06. McCluskey, SH07. Garrison, ML08. and Washburn, ML09. If you do not have the test code when you go to take the test, you will not be allowed to take the test. In Chapter 1, we're going to give you a little bit of background information about the 1st District Health Unit, and we're going to begin our introduction to foodborne illness. The 1st District Health Unit, or FDHU, dates back to 1893 when the City of Minot Health Department was established. In 1942, the City of Minot joined with Ward County to form one health department. Following enabling legislation, Bottineau, Burke, McHenry, McLean, Renville, and Sheridan counties all joined together with Ward County to form the first of the district health units in the state, hence its name, the 1st District Health Unit. Today, the main office is located in the City of Minot, with satellite offices located in each of the district's 7 counties. The 1st District Health Unit has many different health and safety programs, including adult health, which deals with things like foot care for the elderly and community wellness, immunizations for both children and adults, an injury prevention program, which deals with things like car seats, bike helmets, seat belts, and farm safety, a tobacco control program where people who use tobacco and wish to quit can obtain help to do so, an emergency preparedness and response program, the Environmental Health Division, which deals with inspection and regulation of different types of establishments, including food and beverage establishments, lodging establishments, tanning facilities, body art establishments, schools, swimming pools, and assisted living facilities, and several other programs. The 1st District Health Unit is governed by the District Health Officer and by the Board of Health. The District Health Officer is Dr. Jethwa. The Board of Health has 9 members. There is 1 member from each county, and Ward County has 2 additional members because of its higher population. The Board of Health governs the health and safety of the citizens of the 1st District Health Unit through rules and regulations. There are currently 12 rules and regulations. Rule and Regulation Number 1 was first adopted in 1948, and it deals with the inspection, licensure, and regulation of food and beverage establishments. The most recent version was adopted in 2013. Along with it, there was a new set of regulations adopted. The regulations used by the 1st District Health Unit are called the Food Code. The most recent version of the FDHU Food Code went into effect on July 1, 2013. The regulations of the 1st District Health Unit are based on the regulations found in the Food and Drug Administration of the United States Model Food Code. The FDA updates their Model Food Code every 4 years, and then the 1st District Health Unit adopts the new regulations. The intent of the 1st District Health Unit Food Code is to safeguard public health and to provide consumers with food that is safe, unadulterated, and honestly presented. What you need to keep in mind is that the food employees have more to do with whether or not the people eating the food from a food establishment will get a foodborne illness or get very sick and be hospitalized or possibly die than any other single factor. The decisions that you make when you work with food directly determine whether or not somebody who eats that food will get sick. According to the Centers for Disease Control, approximately 48 million cases of foodborne illness occur each year in the United States, or 1 out of 6 Americans gets a foodborne illness. More than 128,000 people are hospitalized per year because of foodborne illnesses, and there are approximately 3,000 deaths each year caused by foodborne illnesses. Norovirus is the most common cause of foodborne illness in the United States, followed by Salmonella. Salmonella is the pathogen most likely to cause hospitalization, followed by norovirus, and Salmonella is the pathogen most likely to cause death from foodborne illness in the United States. A foodborne illness is any illness that is associated with or in which any causative agent is obtained by the ingestion of food. So if you eat something and it makes you sick, you have a foodborne illness. Foodborne illnesses happen all the time. But if you have an incidence of foodborne illness that involves 2 or 5 or 10 or 100 people who all eat a common food or eat at a common establishment, you have a foodborne illness outbreak. According to the CDC, about 70% of all foodborne illness outbreaks that occur with food from food service operations. The Food and Drug Administration has identified 5 major risk factors that tend to lead to foodborne illness. They are improper holding temperatures, inadequate cooking temperatures, contaminated equipment, food used that is from an unsafe source, and poor personal hygiene. According to the FDA, poor personal hygiene contributes to about 50% of the foodborne illness outbreaks that occur. All of the things that cause foodborne illness outbreaks can be broken down into 3 categories. They can be physical agents, chemical agents, or biological agents, also known as pathogens. Physical agents are physical objects that you can actually find in the food. Some examples include metal shavings found in cans that were opened with a dull can opener, glass fragments from broken glass containers or improperly made glass containers, pieces of bone and ground up meat, artificial fingernails, or hair. In 2007, an incident was reported to the 1st District Health Unit. It was reported that there were pieces of glass in a brownie from a brownie sundae eaten at a restaurant. In this slide, you see 2 pieces of brownie from that brownie sundae. At the bottom we have a dime, and at the top we have a centimeter scale to give you an idea of the size of the pieces of brownie. In this piece of brownie, you can see what appears to be a piece of glass located in the center. It has a sharp edge along the bottom, which could easily cut the inside of the mouth or the inside of the digestive system. This is the other piece of brownie, and down towards the bottom you can see another fragment of what appears to be glass with a very sharp point. During the investigation, it was found that these brownies were actually made at a bakery in Canada, shipped to Minnesota, and then distributed to the food establishment in Minot. It was not determined what the source of the glass fragments was, and there were no other reported cases of glass in brownies. In this slide, you can see a live frog sealed into a bag of spinach. Is it a physical agent or is it a biological agent if it causes foodborne illness? Chemical agents are things that are in the food that you cannot find just by sorting through the food and looking for them. They are dissolved into the food. Some examples include heavy metals, such as mercury in fish, zinc from galvanized containers, or lead from pottery glaze or from leaded crystal. Another example is medicines, for example personal medications like ibuprofen or acetaminophen. Another chemical agent would be poisons. Things like cleaners and sanitizers serve an important purpose in food establishments, but if they get into the food in their undiluted form, they can actually act as poisons to cause foodborne illness. Biological agents, or pathogens, are living organisms or living materials that cause disease. The main pathogens are bacteria and viruses, but there are others including parasites and prions. One major biological agent is bacteria. Bacteria are single-celled microorganisms. They are found in every possible habitat on Earth. If you were to go and dig up some soil, you would typically find about 1.1 billion bacterial cells in every ounce of that soil. If you were to go to any freshwater body of water, such as the Souris River or Lake Metagoshi or Lake Sakakawea, you would typically find around 5 million bacterial cells in each teaspoon of that fresh water. In this slide, you can see several Salmonella bacteria in a culture of human tissue. The pink items are individual Salmonella bacteria that have been stained to make them show up in this picture, which was taken with a microscope. The reason that picture was taken with a microscope is because bacteria are small. Your average bacteria is around 0.002 millimeters. If you convert that into the English system, it is 1/25,400th of an inch, which is a very small amount. Something else you need to account for is the fact that microorganisms that cause disease are not the same ones that cause food spoilage. So what this means is that you cannot look at food to see bacteria, smell the food to see if it smells bad, or taste the food to see if it tastes spoiled. You have to assume that bacteria are found in some foods in a food establishment and handle them correctly to kill them or make them so they are not a hazard to the people eating the food. In a food establishment, bacteria are likely to be found in the following places. The most likely place to find them is in raw animal products like raw meat and raw eggs. Salmonella bacteria is associated with poultry. The amount of salmonella found in a raw meat is how the Food and Drug Administration sets the cooking temperatures. Foods like poultry with high levels of salmonella have high cooking temperatures. Foods like raw fish, which have lower levels of salmonella, have lower cooking temperatures. E. coli is associated with beef and cattle, and you especially find it in ground beef products like hamburger. Another place where you're likely to find bacteria is on the bare hands of food handlers. One type of bacteria, known as Shigella, is associated with humans and human fecal material. Another place you are likely to find bacteria is in the form of spores in cooked foods. Spore-forming bacteria are capable of forming spores, which are resistant to heat. When you cook the food, the spore-forming bacteria forms a spore and it survives the cooking process. When the food is cooled back down, the spore germinates into a living bacteria, which can then affect the people eating it. Spore-forming bacteria are found in several different types of foods. One type is found in many different foods, including those that contain beef, poultry, or gravies. Another type is found in cereal grain products, especially in rice. And another type is associated with canned foods. This type of bacteria is known as Clostridium botulinum. Clostridium botulinum cannot grow and thrive in the presence of oxygen, but the spores are found in soils everywhere. When the spores germinate and the bacteria grow, they produce botulinum toxin as part of their life cycle. Botulinum toxin is the most potent naturally occurring poison known to man. 1 microgram, which is 1/1,000,000th of a gram, is enough to kill a human. Botulinum toxin causes paralysis, including the lungs. The victims suffocate. The toxin can be diluted and used to treat wrinkles. This product is known as Botox. Another type of biological agent is the virus. Viruses are even smaller than bacteria. They are submicroscopic pieces of genetic material that may or may not have a protein coat. Viruses are very simple and they cannot reproduce without a living cell in a host. Hepatitis A virus and norovirus both reproduce in and are associated with humans. Viruses are approximately 1/100th the size of a bacterial cell. They are so small that you cannot use a regular microscope to see them, and you have to use a special type of microscope called an electron microscope. This picture, taken with an electron microscope, shows norovirus. Each of the objects you see on the screen is an individual norovirus. They are not very exciting to look at, but as few as 10 of these are capable of causing illness. This is the end of Chapter 1 of Food Safety for Food Service Employees.